Hey guys, welcome to the Whimsical Workshop. In this video, we are going to be doing month 4 of our Snippets block of the month. This is a block of the month that we designed with Studio E fabrics. The patterns are free. You can download them on the Studio E website, which I will link below. But I am all cut and ready to go, so let's get started with number 4. All right, so if you have been sewing along with me, we are at the halfway point of this quilt. We've got month 4, 5, and 6, and 4 is one more block for the interior. 5 are the blocks around the border, and then 6 is putting it all together. So we are in the home stretch. We are going to be doing a really cute star and a star block today. You can see it right there. This includes flying geese, which is done with the same flip and sew method. So we have been perfecting this method throughout the project. But the flying geese are an odd number. They are 1 5/8 by 2 3/4 or 2 3/4 by 5. That is the big guy. There's the little guy. So you can't really use a die or other methods to making flying geese. We're going to stick with the 2 tried and true methods that we've been doing throughout the project. I am going to run through both again to give you a refresher in case it's been a month and you've forgotten. Totally understandable. So first things first is we're going to be making the little red and black flying geese. Let's get to that part of the pattern. So we're going to be using these guys and these guys. Before we start, I want to talk a little bit about the marking utensils and rulers I have been using in this video series so far. First, to mark the dark fabrics, I've been using the Bohin chalk pencil. I really like their leads. I've heard that they have a little ceramic in them. I'm not sure if that's true or not. You can leave me a comment if you know for sure. But I find that by using their leads, they seem much stronger and they don't snap on me. I love their pencil. It's really easy to refill the leads. These are white. I have yellow and graphite, and so if I want to just switch out my leads, I can and use the same pen body, or you can just have one for each lead. You also have a turn-up eraser, which works great to get the lines off your fabric, though over time the chalk will erase on its own. And these erasers are refillable. You can buy new ones of those. So you can invest in one pencil body and then use refills for leads and erasers. I like that it's, economical, it's green, and it doesn't snap on me. So that is what I've been using on the dark colors. On the light colors, I've been using the Frixion pens. These erase with heat or friction. And you may or may not already have these in your studios for marking your quilts. I do recommend only marking the back sides of your quilts with this because they can leave a ghost line on certain fabrics, or at least test it on your fabric. I certainly wouldn't mark my whole quilt top to quilt it and then hope that it all goes away because you might get a ghost line. But I do absolutely love these for marking the wrong sides of my fabrics, which is what we're doing today. I also love to use these in the office for all of my paperwork and everything because it is an erasable pen. So it's dual duty for me. I have a whole cup of these and use them, everywhere in the studio. So if you also are like me and do spelling errors or write fast and want to erase mistakes, these are also really good in the office. So the rulers we've been using to do the traditional method, just like the pattern, I have been using a nice handy dandy traditional 6.5 inch square ruler to cut my squares and to square things up. This is the Creative Grids version. I truly like this version because it's very easy to find my 5/8 and my 3/4, which are oddball sizes for these flying geese. Makes it really easy to trim blocks up or to check things or to cut them. If you have a different version of a 6.5 inch ruler, just make sure it has a 45-degree line marked on it because it does make it easier to mark your diagonal line. The other method I've been showing, I've been using the folded corner clipper ruler. This is the Creative Grids version. I know there are other manufacturers making the same ruler, so you may or may not already have one in your stash. I love this ruler as well. This is my preferred method for flip and sew, and if you've been following along, this is all repetitive, you've heard it before, but I haven't really talked about the ruler, so I wanted to share that with you. I will put links below for all the tools that we're using in this video, but just know that this is a free project from Studio E, and when we write free projects, we purposely write them so you do not need special rulers or special tools. thus the two different techniques I'm sharing with you today. I'm sharing the one that's in the pattern, which is the basic technique, and then the ruler technique, which is my favorite way of doing it, that is not written in the pattern. You can use either method or come up with your own, but just wanted to explain why we're showing you two different methods. All right, so we've got all of that done. So now we are ready to start marking our flying geese, and I'm going to do it both methods. So over here I've already marked some of these, and you'll notice I had that one flipped. That's why I like to stack these up before I sew them, just so I know that these are going in the right direction. So to mark your flying geese for the traditional method, you will take your square, lay it right sides down, wrong side up. I use the 45-degree angle on the ruler, and I align it with the edge of the square, and then I use my chalk pencil, because this is black, and I'm going to draw from the center out and the center out. If you go from corner to corner, you can pull the corner, you can stretch the fabric, so I do recommend anytime you're drawing on a square to go from the corner out. So there's that guy, and that is how we're going to take this over to the sewing machine, and we're going to just sew on the square from line to line. And that is how the pattern is written, so we'll go ahead and get those sewn. But now the ruler method that I like to use, first off, when we mark the traditional method, we are only using the corners as our reference points. And I want to have more reference points so that when I flip out that triangle, it aligns the way it should. And so I have found over time that using this little folded corner clipper ruler works amazing for this, because you can align the top of the square with the top of the ruler, the side of the square with the side of the ruler. In this case, it's an oddball size, so it's not going to align here. But this diagonal line will align from corner to corner. And then I can draw my line, and that is going to form a small triangle. See if you can see it up there. It'll form a small triangle and then a large triangle. The small triangle is always going to point out. So we're just going to lay this guy on here. And now when we go over to the sewing machine, we are still going to sew from point to point, and our 1/4 inch foot edge will align with that line on the fabric. So that is a way to do it with the rulers, and I'm going to do several of those, and then I'll come back and show you how to finish the flying geese blocks, and then we will move on. Alright, so I've gotten these sewn up, so let me show you how we did it. So this one is sewn from point to point, and then this one is sewn from point to point, but use the 1/4 inch foot on the other drawn line. So there's those. Then when you come over, you need to cut the excess fabric out and press this. And you have two choices for that. This way you would just cut the inside piece out, leaving a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and then you could use this outer edge if these don't flip out accurate enough. This will add some excess bulk to your pattern, but that is one way to do it. And then the other way would be to just go ahead and cut both layers away, a 1/4 inch away from the sewn seam, and flip that open. So there's those. Then once you have done this, you need to lay another square on there, and again from point to point, so make sure you lay it on that way and not that way. That gets you a totally different shape. So we want the line to intersect with the top of that guy. And then over here, when you lay your second one on, whoops, oh, I already laid it on and I sewed it, just make sure that the small triangle is pointing to the outside edge. And again, sew from corner to corner and leave your 1/4 inch seam allowance. And then you are ready to just cut away the two layers and press it out. And that will get you your little flying geese. We need to make 16 unit ones using B and J, which I'm going to go ahead and do. And then the other one we need to make is using the 2 3/4 by 5 inch C's and the 2 3/4 fabric G squares to create 16 flying geese from this. So I'm going to go ahead and get all the flying geese sewn together, and then I will be back to show you how to assemble our blocks. Okay, so we've got all our little flying geese done. These are unit 1s, and we're ready to assemble the center star. So we need an A square, and then just make sure all your points are pointing in the correct direction. And then we've got the little squares to go in the corner. So this is the center block. That's how it's going to go together. So I've gone ahead and sewn the rows, because we're going to sew this row, and then this row. So here are the rows, and I'm going to show you how to press, how I pressed them. And we're going to press out towards the solid squares. And then for the middle row, we're going to press towards the center square. There we go. So then we can go ahead and sew the 3 rows together. Oops, and make sure you have those points right. That was the only mistake I made in the first quilt, was I flipped the points on one of the bigger flying geese on this block. All right, so now that we've got that done, the next step is to sew the rows together. And then for these guys, if you only want to press in one direction, I would press them towards your center. So in and in. So they go like that. But I prefer to press these seams open, again, to avoid bulk at those corners. And so that is how I pressed it. And then once it's all pressed open, you've got your center block. So to press it open, I again like to use these strip sticks. I just lay it on my strip stick. I start the seam apart, opening the seam. And then I just use the nose of my iron, and it just falls around the stick. The gravity of the curve just helps you make that so much easier to press these open. And again, I like to use a combination of open seams and seams pressed to the side. I don't think it matters. The goal is to get the bulk out of your square. And then once we've done that, we're just going to press it flat. And there we go. So we need to make 4 of these star centers. All right, I have all of the flying geese done for the pink and white ones, the C and G fabrics. And this is how our block is going to go together. So we're going to take our star blocks that we made a little bit earlier, and they each get a flying goose on either side. And then these guys are the C squares to the flying geese for top and bottom. And that will make our block 4. So I'm going to go ahead and sew this. I'll bring back to show you the pressing directions, and we will have our month 4 all done. Alright, so I have sewn my strip pieces into the rows. So we've got those guys. Now I'm going to show you how I would recommend pressing these. Alright, so what I did is I pressed these, the top and bottom rows, towards the corners. So that's a nice easy press. So there's the top row. Move that up so you can see it, the bottom row. And then for these guys, I went ahead, because there is 1, 2, 3, there's several intersections, I went ahead and pressed these open. And again, I really do like using a combination to decide which seam is going to be bulkier. So anytime you think you have a seam that's bulky, press it open. There we go. And anytime you can press to the side, it's more advisable because it's a stronger seam. Though I highly doubt most of these quilts will outlive me no matter what. So anyway, here we go. We're going to go ahead and press that. So now we have our rows all pressed. And then I went ahead and sewed the block together. And for these 2 seams, I'm going to press out, up and down. So I'm going to press up towards the top because it laid nice and flat. And it kind of wants to do that anyway because this is very bulky in the middle. So that seam wants to lay out flat, so let it do what it wants to do. And there we are. There is block 4. We need 4 of these for the quilt, and we are all done with month 4 of the Snippets block of the month. So we have now finished all of the blocks. Let me see if I have an image here for you guys. It's really tiny, but there we go. We have all of the center done was month 1, and then these guys out here were 2, 3, and 4. For month 5, we're going to be doing all those diamonds, and then month 6 is putting it all together. We're in the home stretch. We've only got 2 more months to go. Leave me a comment below. Let me know if you're stitching along with us. I'd love to know what colors you're using if you're not using the beautiful Snippets fabrics from Studio E. As always, I want to thank you for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe and hit the bell if you want to be notified for each time we drop a video. And until next month, happy sewing!